watching the hurricane.
Yeah,
That's funny.
we sit out there watching it, and it was crazy, but it wasn't terrible. But the damage it did was incredible. We have been without power all week, and they're saying we're not going to get power to our area where we were until sometime next week.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Now,
and
now
98 degrees with no air conditioning sucks. It just
why
does.
why don't you have a generator? I've got one.
We've got one, but it's out in the country, and I haven't cranked it since 2008 when we had the last hurricane.
Oh, yeah, cranking it. That's southern. That's southern right there. Nobody up here says cranking it. No, they don't say cranking the mower or the generator. None of that. Or the car. Do you guys say cranking the car? Oh, look
This
it!
this won't do it justice, but I'll try. Yeah, hold on.
Wow, that's windy. And did you have flood problems?
Not where we were, no.
It was mostly wind.
Wind and rain. The rain was really hard. It didn't show up very well in that video, but and that's what happened. That's why we got so much damage, is because the rain made everything so wet, and then when the wind really hit, it literally it pulled trees up by the root ball and laid them over. And I'm talking about
Wow,
humongous trees
that's
that you're.
horrible.
If I were to walk out there beside the root ball on some of those, it would be taller than me. The root ball would be. That's how big it was, and it was blowing the trees down. And it was. I live right next to a golf course, and it tore that up.
No.
It's been
You
no
know,
bueno.
though, now you actually are making my point that I wanted to make tonight. Right now, if you don't know that, but do you know how many people I've talked to that have something like that happen and they won't work for 3 months over it? I
Well,
bet you were working through it.
yeah, I've been working every day, but with what I do, I had to go somewhere else to do it though, because I need to be online to do what I do. So,
Right.
Laurie's parents actually live over in Cypress, Texas,
And you
and so
found a
they had
way.
power the next night, and so we went over there and did it.
But see,
Here's
you
a picture.
found a way. That's the thing.
Can you see that root ball? I know this
Oh,
light.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Look how
there it
big the
is.
root ball is.
Wow.
And that tree was
Tore it
huge.
right
That's
up
just one
out
of
of the
them.
ground.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Wow.
crazy. Anyway, enough of the weather report.
No, no, but I mean, it's not just weather stuff that happens. Lots of stuff happen, or the
Yeah,
kids get out for the summer, or you have a relative that dies, or you get sick, or whatever it is.
yep,
But if you want to, you will. If
that's
you
true.
don't, you won't. I don't know how else to say it.
That's
But
true.
and you know what I think, when something does happen, the longer someone takes to get back in the saddle,
Mhm.
the harder it is to get back in the consistency of doing everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I try, even when I'm sick and stuff, to do my at least my 10 cards a day or whatever, my things that I do every single day. I try to, if I'm really sick, I try to drag myself. I'm like, I'm at least going to do my 10 cards, because I know it's going to be so hard if I just stop everything
Right.
to get it back going again. I look at it that way, as it's a machine that needs to be run every day, or it seizes up.
Yeah. And
So
with most direct sales things, your product is something people are going to be consuming anyway. They have to have it. So, there's so many customers. I know in the insurance industry, it was a little different. Like when Hurricane Ike hit Texas in 2008, literally every single county in my state operation that I had was a federal disaster zone. And what happened was that hit early September, and we would do anywhere from 1 million to 2 million a month. We went down to zero almost. It was
wow.
crazy. But there were no companies open. They couldn't even, the guys and girls couldn't
But
even go out
not
and take calls.
but not selling. But isn't that the time the insurance people would reach out and hold hands, or hug people to make sure their customers were happy, or because that's how they're going to stay with you. If they have a bad experience when they have to make a claim, they're going
Right.
somewhere else. Where if you were holding their hand, or at least making them feel better if there's a big long line, or
Well, and what we did, it was employee benefit programs. And so there wasn't the property and casualty, so there wasn't anything to do there. And the employers were all shut down. None of the employees were at work. We couldn't go see them.
oh,
And so I'm sure it varies a little bit by industry, but Aflac took really good care of the agents. They did some special stuff, and I thought that was very, very cool of them.
Well,
But
and I bet you still, I mean, you can still learn new things or
mhm,
go to seminars or read books or whatever it is to make yourself better.
right,
I think
absolutely.
just totally stopping everything is like sitting your really big expensive car out in the yard and never running it.
Yeah,
Then when you go to
absolutely.
start it back up, it's like, ooh, I don't want to do that.
It's always to keep momentum going, much easier than starting with inertia, and not. I think I have a cousin named Inertia. No, okay.
And I bet you do. Oh, you know what I didn't? I got to go on to Facebook and share, make my thing public so I can see the comments. Hold on a second.
I'm not seeing
I
any
know.
comments. I
We're
was
on
wondering if
the,
it was just the two of us here tonight.
no, it's not. Edit the audience to public, and that usually solves my issue. Here we
Yeah.
go. Okay. That should have,
Hey,
yeah,
there's some
see,
comment.
yeah, that did it.
Yeah.
Debbie Britt's on. Yay. And Kim.
And
Yeah.
Don
Yay,
King.
hey, Tim. And Don King. And Maureen's on. I saw Maureen earlier today. And Penny's on. She was on earlier too. Good old cousin Inertia.
Debbie Britt understands me better than most people on the show because we grew up in the same area. Well,
And there's
same area.
Katie. Hey, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
So yeah, this is awesome. We would have seen their comments. I for some reason, if you make your Facebook post about the live public, you can see all the comments from all the channels. It's
Okay.
kind of a weird glitch, but whatever. Whatever. Right, right. So
I'll
no,
see Debbie Britt in September. She's coming to the SalesWise live event down in West Palm Beach.
no. Oh, Debbie, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow,
I
that's
love
awesome.
Debbie to death.
And Richard's going to be the guest. That's going to be awesome.
Richard Wildman blows me away. He is really cool.
Yeah. That is awesome. You know, one of the things I do when I'm like when we were in the whole COVID shutdown thing, as
Mhm.
soon as we could not be in that, and even this was actually when we were doing that, everything we couldn't go out. But I thought I got to find a way to see people I don't know. I got to find a way.
Right,
And that's how I ended up joining the Go Giver Success Alliance because I knew it'd be a bunch of people I didn't know.
right,
So that's not why you joined to start with. It's just because you're buddies with Bob.
right.
Right. No, I actually joined to meet people I didn't know, including you, evidently.
Worked out well. So you're saying you and I are a side benefit of all the crap that happened then. So this is cool.
Right.
There's always
Right.
a silver lining somewhere.
Well, I don't know about you, but I was sitting there all that time thinking this whole thing has got to keep running. My whole business. I think the scariest days of my whole existence up to this point might have been we were closed at Avon for I think it was 3 days total until they figured out they could be necessary and stay open
Right.
legally.
Yep.
They shut down. They did shut down, and then 3 days later opened up, and it was like,
That sounds very biblical. They shut down, but 3 days later they were back open.
and they passed out the bread and the loaves, or no, the
There we
loaves
go.
and the fishes.
Loaves
Wasn't
and the
that
fishes. Loaves and the fishes.
it? Yeah, there ain't nobody coming up here with loaves and fishes. I got to make my own.
Nobody's turned my
No.
water into wine tonight either, but it's been done. I believe it.
Well, and you know what's funny? Another thing that came out of that whole thing was the play's one of those things too. I thought, well, you know what? I wonder why nobody's ever come to me because I live on a historic place. I have a historic marker on my front lawn. Why
Right,
has no one ever come here wanting to do those reenactments on the actual property? And and so I went to that meeting, but I knew I was going to see people I didn't know. Now
right.
I didn't dream it would turn into this, but I think that that's a side benefit. Hey, there's Pat. I'm going to see Pat
Huh?
at the Avon convention. I'm staying at her house the night before we go down to the convention.
Don,
Yay!
Don King
Hopefully, Pat.
understands me too because Don wrote down in Texas, communion is barbecue and a Lone Star beer, right? Well, hey, Don, when I was in college, I actually would go to an Episcopal church sometimes because at communion, they served real wine.
Oh, gee. I'm shocked and stunned by that revelation. Right?
Hey, I
Yeah.
don't even have my coffee tonight.
And there's Tammy from Orlando. Hey,
Tammy?
Tammy. So,
Okay,
yeah, I think it just is, you have to find a way to get in front of more people all the time. I think that's
absolutely.
the upshot of it. I've got I get I was kind of ranting a little bit on my Tuesday Team Time Tuesday call because I had a new representative call me and say, um, I don't, no, none of my regular customers want to buy anything. And she's talking about her three friends. I don't know what to do. And
Get
it's
more
like,
friends.
you need more.
Get
Well, I
more
mean,
friends.
how about people you don't know? I'm
Make
confused
new
why
friends.
in direct sales they think they're only going to be selling to people they already know.
Yeah.
Well, that's not effective, really.
Not effective if you
Especially,
want to build an income out of it. So,
well, well, that's yeah, that's a good point. And you know, say what you said. I said I wanted to talk about summer because it drives me crazy when everybody takes a summer siesta.
uh-huh.
And you said about many moms do
Oh, yeah.
commission sales.
Yeah. When it comes to commission sales, I experienced this with my insurance team. I had probably, I don't know, 600 people working at any given moment. And more than that would go through the doors, but that was pretty average on that. But in the summertime, one of the things that would attract a mother, especially to the career, was they were on commission, they were independent contractors, had all kinds of opportunities to show up and learn, and we would teach things and all that. But they also had the ability to say, I'm not doing that. And so what would happen, a lot of those, the reason they came on board with us was so that they could have the summers to spend the time with their kids.
Mm.
So they would write a lot of business January through May, and then it would drop off, and then it would pick back up in August when the kids are going back to school. Now we're talking people that were selling a lot of, they were making a lot of sales, so they could still easily make the income they wanted to make during that time, because our average account size would have been about $7,500 in premium. And
Hmm.
so their income on that would have been roughly somewhere between 2,500 and $3,500. So, they could make, if they were making sales, they were going to make a living. And so I know it's a little bit different when you're in an industry like what you are, where it's direct sales and it's smaller pricing,
Right.
smaller volume. You have to continually keep that going, or people are going to not
Well,
make as much
and
money.
the thing that makes me a little crazy, and this is was the point of our book practically, is
Yep.
that so many women say to me, women in particular say to me, I don't need the money. My husband pays all the bills, so I can take the summer off. Now, technically, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you, but untechnically, or whatever you want to say, I find that to be short-sighted because everyone needs their own.
Right.
You need to be able to push the whole wheelbarrow yourself because
Yep.
I think you just don't, people don't realize how easy it would be. One thing, their spouse gets hit by a train
Yep.
and they don't realize how easy they could be in big trouble fast.
That's one
It's
of the
just,
reasons that we wrote the story the way we did it. I remember one of the very first interviews that I did with you, that when we were getting down into the details about what we wanted to do in the book, that was your overriding principle. You wanted to make sure to teach this in the story that women, there are things that can happen and you need to be self-sufficient. And I remember working through the storyline in my mind. Okay, how am I going to do that? How am I going to pull that point across? Do I put the main character through a divorce? What do I do on that? And of course, we decided to handle it the way we handled it, which was a much more heart touching way, because divorce sucks.
true.
I've been through
Now,
one. I
had you,
understand.
before we were talking, had you really looked at that whole situation the same way I do? Oh, no.
Mm-mm.
You were
No, you opened
thinking,
my eyes about that a little bit.
oh, okay. And you know what? The only reason that I think about it so much, I think, isn't because I was left in the lurch. That didn't happen
Yep.
because I've always wanted or earned my own money. But
Yep.
I've seen so many colleagues of mine um, be suddenly so desperate
Right.
that they can't even pay their mortgage 2 months after their spouse dies or something. And the older I get, the worse that gets.
Yep.
So Don said, basic principle of storytelling: get your main character up a tree and then throw rocks at him or
That's
her.
it.
It
That's
reflects life. There's always bad things that happen. Yeah.
always something. And that's exactly Don. I don't know if you know this or not, but you used exactly the words that John Mann does when he's doing the writing mastery mentorship course. He says, you start off with your hero, you get them up in a tree, you throw rocks at them, and then toward the end, you bring them back down.
Well, what's funny is people say I don't need the money. Well, that's awesome. But you buy car insurance whether you need it today or not.
Right.
And some people maybe are buying it because it's required by law. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I think having your own income that pays everything is such a great idea, even if you never need it.
Right.
If you never need it ever, that's awesome. That would be beautiful.
Well, that,
I don't know, but
when
not
they
having
tell
it
you
show
that,
up.
when they
Hmm?
tell you they don't have to make the income because they don't need to, say, well, wow, that's so awesome. Well, what are you going to do with the extra money that we help you make here when we get you going?
And the other thing, oh, there's Peg. Always bring them back down.
Okay.
Um, the other thing, and I've talked about this too before, so don't let me bore you with it. But there is nothing, absolutely nothing that I can think of that makes me feel better or prouder or whatever it is, or more courageous or anything than to stand back at my dumpster, look at my house, and know that I put that there. I put that house there by what I did,
Yep.
and I beat my chest and roar. And there's nothing that feels like that. I don't even want to win the lottery or inherit money because it wouldn't feel like that.
Right.
That is a great feeling to know that something I was smart enough to figure out paid off big enough that I could build this house.
Uh,
So, I mean, that there's something to be said for that.
well, I agree with you on every single point you just made, except for maybe one, and that's it. I'm willing to take the chance on how winning the lottery feels. I may look and say, well, that really stunk.
I'm
I didn't feel any accomplishment with that.
I'm
I
shocked
got
it's
millions of
done.
dollars in the bank, and that just totally stinks. And then I'll say, okay, I'm going to give it back because
What did Don say? Unfortunately, in real life, that doesn't always happen. That's why you better do that in a story. Don't want it to be too realistic.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
David
there's
Good's
David
here
Good.
tonight. Hey, David.
Yay. Yeah. I guess hearing so many stories over so much time of colleagues, and these are all mostly in direct sales, mostly in Avon, that I've known 10, 20 years. Suddenly something happens to their spouse that was paying the bills. They say something to me like, oh, if only I'd put in more time with my Avon business, I'd be much bigger off and I'd be able to pay my bills. But I'm really stuck now. I got to move back in with my son or something. Can you imagine having to move in with your kid at 60 or 65 because, oh, and it puts people in such a bad position. So if
Yep.
you're out there, oh, go ahead and work more this summer. Go ahead. I don't know. Your kids, you can still do lots of stuff with your kids. I did a lot of stuff with my kid and I worked still.
Yep.
I just had times that I did the kid stuff and times that I did work stuff.
It's the same
That's
thing
all.
that for me it always was during the school year. One of the reasons I picked Aflac for a career is I was self-employed, independent contractor, and yes, when I got into management, I had responsibilities, and I had flexibility, and there would be so many times I would be the only dad at anything at the school. The
Oh,
kids would be
yeah.
doing something, and I would be there because I dad gum well could. And so, but I also worked my rear end off to bring in the income. So.
No, I just think that's important. Hey, Mariana. And David said, both Lisa and Jeff were great support and inspiration to me when I was going through a rough time in my life. They helped me open my mind to new possibilities. And, that's all the Success Alliance, too.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
made great friends in there, great support going both ways.
yeah,
David, by the way, you've helped us both, too, I'm
yeah.
sure.
And David, I
So,
am very proud of you, young man. I won't say much more than that. It's your job to tell your own story, but I'm very proud of you.
uh, but yeah, I think maybe I don't know how to express it so that more people will, but that was why I wanted to do the book and it's
Mhm.
why I talk about it all the time. But how do you think you get people to realize that um, having a backup plan and not just insurance but having a way to earn the money
Right.
is and plus staying busy. I
Right.
think
Staying
some of the
busy is
things,
important.
do you think, I don't know if like dementia and Alzheimer's, some of it's genetic and all that stuff, but I really think that if you keep your mind going, you have a much better odds of not. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I do, but I can't remember. No, I'm kidding. But that's tacky. I'm so sorry, but Lord, I apologize
You
for talking
should
about that.
be.
But
But I
the
mean, being
well, it
working and
has to
being
be
on
true.
commission.
Look, I've got games that show up on my phone when I'm playing other games that say neurologists say that if you do this, you're going to be, keep your memories longer. And they can't put it on your phone on an ad if it's not true.
Right. No, I mean, I just think it's a better way to live. I mean,
It
I
is.
you wouldn't believe how many people say to me, "I'm only 61, I'm not that old." And people say, "When are you gonna stop working?" Never. This is what I like. I think that instead of looking forward to retirement, I thought I'm gonna design a life I don't need to retire from.
Yeah. Well,
And this is exciting to me to do all
tell
this
them the
stuff.
same thing Willie Nelson used to say. When people would ask Willie Nelson when he was going to retire, he'd say, "Wait a minute, retire." He says, "All I do is play music or play golf. If I retire, which one do I have to give up?"
Right.
So you tell them all you do is play Avon and go to Yonkers. Which
Right.
one do you have to give up?
Well, and you know what? I got my finger in a thousand pies here, which I love that. That's my
Right.
thing. So, like tonight at
Which you,
7:30, matter of fact, I think I maybe heard the door already. Uh, I've got two, the director and the playwright coming to hear a read, somebody read for the play.
right.
And to me, that's exciting too. I mean, that's a whole new facet of my life I didn't even know I was gonna have.
Yeah.
Peg says, "If you enjoy what you do, you're not working." Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Lori from the Cape says, "100% Lisa, always have worked and earned my own money. I knew I needed to be prepared and plan. In my 20s to 40s, no retirement plans in corporate America and started my own Avon business. I did expect to become a widow. I did not expect to become a widow at 62, and I need everyone I have earned and put away to pay the mortgage and the bills. I love
Yep.
my work, keeps me off the street corner, and my police chief is happy." That's a good one.
Well, Don King wrote in there that you might retire from an activity, like he's about to finish teaching college, and he's going to stop doing that and do whatever else he wants to do after that. It's like when I retired from the insurance industry. I started speaking and writing and all that, and I took some years in between where I really wasn't doing all that much, and I hated that, so I went back to doing that again.
Yeah.
And it's really, it seems to be working. I
And
got
you
blue.
worked really hard at the insurance company, got to the top of your game, earned a bunch of money doing that, and now you have the option of writing instead. You can
Right,
do a different whole career change, and
right.
you have the money you earn from that to back you up.
Yep.
Women, we can do that too. Women.
Absolutely. I think this year, Lisa, will be the first time I will actually exceed, because I still get paid from Aflac, the way the residual income works. But I think this year, for the first time, I'm probably going to make more money from writing and speaking than I will from the insurance industry.
It's because
And
of
I'm going,
Dubai, isn't it?
that's,
It's
well,
because
that's not going to hurt. But I've got other events that are booking now. We're doing the Sales Wise live stuff. I've got another book coming out. The Streetwise is doing well. Blue Hair is still selling. It's
and
a
because
lot of,
this is so exciting too.
yeah.
It's like,
I'm the
you're
happiest
selling
I've
a
ever been
career,
in a career. I really am.
and see, that's important.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. And ladies, we can do that too. We can do that too. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it makes me sad to see so many. Tammy said, "How long have you been with Avon?" I'm with Avon. Jeff's not. I've been in Avon since 1981.
Hey, I signed up with Avon last summer, remember?
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's all right. So you have an account still, right?
I keep getting
I'm
emails. I
sorry.
keep thinking, should I unsubscribe?
You're almost out of it because it's a year. So, David said, "SalesWise taught me a very important mind shifting technique that I can use with my social anxiety students."
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
Very
Yeah, and
cool.
Tammy, I've been with Avon since 1981, full time since about 86, and I've paid my own all my bills, bought the house, the car, and everything with Avon money. So I think that's funny. Somebody in town said that they thought, "Oh, my last ex-husband was rich," is how I got the house. And I'm like, "Oh, bless your heart, bless your heart."
Well, but she meant that in the best possible way. Hey,
Oh,
thanks,
I
Lester.
did.
Thank you very much, Lester.
So, yeah, and Lori says, Amen. San Antonio was my first trip after Mike passed. He was supposed to be on that trip,
Oh,
but COVID happened. So I'm glad I was keep going. I love what I do. 18 years. That's awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome. And it's the whole industry too, because I dabble in a whole bunch of them. And it's fun because let's say one of them went out. I
yeah,
still have connections with all the other people. I
right,
still have a network of friends. I can just take my skills somewhere else. I think I'm always working on my own skills because of that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I want to make sure I'm transferable,
yeah.
able to earn.
Laurie,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that COVID was what happened to your husband. I'm so sorry. I had lost a really good friend and a cousin during that time. So,
Yeah.
and
It's,
I have a gallows sense of humor now. So when I made the comment about Lisa and I coming as it being a byproduct, something silver lining, my apologies if that came across wrong because I know what you've been through. So,
oh, I don't think she would have taken it that way. Lori's cool.
okay, well, let's do another one then.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I got to stay right on the time today because my company's already here.
Yeah,
So
that's all
it's
right.
7:30. But yeah, so in wrapping up, I in particular wanted to get on this wagon again or on this soapbox again because summer.
Yeah,
I see so many and you know what, you don't have to it doesn't everything in life doesn't have to be totally on or totally off.
right.
It can be that's why I've dabbled around and done more than one rep for more than one company the entire time I've been in. And I see so many people
Shh, they might hear you. Shh.
what I've seen so many people that I have to be with this one or this one. I can't do both. Well, if they allow you to do both.
Yeah,
You don't have to and they do that with everything in their life, you know what I mean? I can only be friends or not be friends. There's no in between. I can only do this or do that. There's
yeah,
no and to me there is some flexibility. You can, you know
yeah.
what I mean,
I,
coexist and
yeah,
spending
really
time with
hate
your
it.
kids and working can coexist.
Yep.
Have the kids help you.
Yep. And nothing in life needs to be an either or. It's a false dilemma there. It's one thing that I love that Bob teaches all the time. That there's most things aren't an either or. Is a light on or off? Yes, but most things aren't that way. And so you don't have to pick. You can actually make them and I do this and that. And one of the things that I always have heard and I try to do is get as many multiple income streams coming in as you can, preferably at, 5, 6, or 7. And it's not always easy to do, but you can do it over time if you keep after
And the kids and the working thing, it's not that my kid was so happy to help me work or help me do it or anything. I just kept working it in my head until I found things the kid liked about it
it.
and just emphasize that. So the kid did not necessarily like traveling with me, especially at the end when I went to a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
So how I got the kid to like it is pools and room service. So then I'd be like, "Oh, we're going to this place for the convention." The kid's like, "The pool and a room service?" I'm, "Oh, yes, yeah, we got that." So, I mean, even now, if I want the kid to do something, I try to find the part of the project that the kid's into to get
There
the
you
kid
go.
involved. But I
Yep,
don't stop work I don't stop everything and say, "This is this." And I
right.
think the kid appreciates that
Yep,
now. Maybe not always, but I think seeing a working parent was good for him
yep,
because he's working, matter of fact, he's working now.
yep.
He's doing 3 jobs and hustling all the time, and I'd like
That's
to
good.
think that's because he saw me hustling the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Well,
necessary.
I would be remiss in my partner duties here if I did not recognize that Lisa M. Wilber has again made the Avon's fifth highest sales volume again
Ooh,
this year.
ooh,
And
I can stand
uh,
myself. I'm so hot, I'm on fire.
there you go. There you go. And I always refer to you in anything show that I'm on. And everything I do is the co-author said the lady with the blue hair with direct sales legend, Lisa M. Wilber. And so
Ooh.
I eventually I'm going to have to get that on. Well, I think I know I'd put you. I was thinking about I need to get you a shirt made up with that on there, but I sent you the shirt that said "This is working for me."
I think maybe a sticker for the front of my car would be better.
I got really bad light here. I'm actually at a hotel in Dallas, and because Laurie's got a convention, and the sun's coming through there, and I've got all kinds of bad light here. So I apologize if you're having a hard time seeing me
That's what I'll
tonight.
put a sticker on the car that says, "Line up here for pictures with direct sales legend." Please.
There you go. There you
When I
go.
go out in the van, I always love that. When I go to get gas or something, I come back out, someone's waiting and they want a picture with me in the van. It's like,
Get a
that'll-
selfie with direct sales legend Lisa M. Wilber. I'm
well,
proud of you. I really am.
thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we are going to get going because I've got to go. I got play business to deal with, and I'm going to Yonkers in the
I
morning.
know you
So
are. I know you are.
I will give Ty my best for you.
I know you will.
Thank you, everybody, so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys.
Love you guys. We're laughing.